Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to check on the worms. I have a very simple worm bin. It's just a regular tote. And my strategy for it is I feed on one side and I harvest on the other side. It's very simple. I just have to do a few things when I check on it once every 2 weeks. And it's been working out really well for me. So I'm gonna just walk you through what I do when I check on it. So right now you can see I have that cover on it, which lets the worms come up to the top, right? And they leave, you can see them leaving their, like these are the most beautiful castings you've ever seen. They come up and they leave these right at the top. These are 100% done worm castings and they just look great. So I'm actually gonna put these off to the side here because of the strategy is I keep the finished worm castings over here and I feed them food over here. That way the worms stay over here, and when I'm ready to harvest, I have, worm-free castings because they don't like to hang out over there because there's no food there. So the only other thing I do, aside from feeding here and harvesting there, and I probably could do that and not a lot else and get away with it, but the one other thing I do is every 2 weeks when I feed them is I will come in and I will fluff up all of the entire bin. And this is just allows me to get my fingers dirty, check on my worms. I mean, honestly, I really enjoy it. I just enjoy doing it. But the other thing it does, in addition to for allowing me to see if anything's wrong and catch any issues, is it gets extra oxygen down in here because this can get kind of wet, and the bacteria that the worms like to eat, that I like to, that they eat to help me break down all my kitchen scraps and the stuff I feed them, that's all oxygen breathing bacteria. So this actually helps. The worms don't love being disturbed, but it really helps out the bacteria, which makes sure they have enough food to eat. So that's why I do it. So I just have to be a little bit careful. I don't want to harm any of my worms when I do this. But I'm going to come through and fluff everything up, break apart the big chunks, make sure that there's plenty of oxygen for all the oxygen breathing bacteria that I want to grow in here for the worms to eat. And actually it's been pretty warm lately, so I see a lot more worms in the finished castings section of the bin. And that's just because there's not as much food breaking down. And when the bacteria breaks down food, it heats things up. So the worms have been running over to the completed side. Normally this smells really good. It's actually got a little bit of a less good smell. I think it's a little bit over damp this time, which is another reason why I check on this. And the way I can deal with that and absorb some of the dampness is the bedding I use that the worms like to live in and hang out in is just the shredded up cardboard that we get from various boxes that come in. And I can shred that up and the worms will break down the boxes, but it'll also absorb moisture. So I can check on the moisture level to try to keep it at an ideal level. I think it's a little bit too moist right now, so I'm going to add in a little bit more cardboard to help deal with that. So that's a good reason why we're checking on it, so we can make sure the environment stays ideal. And I'm seeing just worms throughout this entire thing. I mean, if I was interested on expanding this worm bin, I probably could. I've got a very healthy population in here. They can eat quite a bit. And before I was trying other systems where I wasn't checking on them weekly and making sure everything was in good status, I was not having this. I never saw baby worms in my worm bin. So that's just feels like I'm doing it right. Finally figured out how to do it. So it's a good feeling. All right, now we're gonna get over here. This is where I fed them 2 weeks ago, so I'm gonna try and lift it up because there's usually the most worms here. Ooh, look at that. They're not on the top, but then under that, and I'm feeling this, and this is warm because it's more stuff breaking down. You can see a lot of the just the worms, you know, breaking stuff down, doing worm stuff. Look at that. That's just a solid bundle of worms. I think if I grab it like that, it's just almost all worms. Yeah, like that. I like it. I like that a lot. All right, that was half of it. Let me try and see if I can scoop up the other half of where I fed them last week, or 2 weeks ago rather. All right, scritch off some of the top. Some of the bottom. Yeah, see, this is where I put it. This is the cardboard layer where I laid all the cardboard. That's why we call it bedding, because it's just a nice environment for them to hang out in the cardboard. All right, so now we've moved. I'm actually, this is you can tell I've got a good population because I'm not seeing any, like, I saw like a pit, and that's the only thing that was like food that I fed them that I saw. Everything else is just gone. So I'm gonna start by, oh, there's another ball of worms. I'm gonna start by adding in more bedding because we need a lot this time. Because of I can just feel how, that's good. I can just feel how dry this all is. So I'm gonna add in a lot, and this will all absorb moisture from the bin, mixing it up with a little bit of the previous stuff to help get all the good bacteria where it needs to go. And then I'm gonna add the eggshells. This helps with the worms' gizzard, helps them chew their food basically. They use these instead of teeth. And then the coffee grounds from our coffee throughout the week. It's a good makes a good sort of baseline. It's like an easy snack for them to eat, right? It's my worms' junk food. If I don't have anything else, I'll have these coffee grounds, and that'll make sure it's good. It's good baseline nutrition for them. I don't know, maybe less junk food, more of like a staple, like a grain or something. Their version of a grain. Just make sure they always have enough calories. And then lastly, I'm going to add in, I actually have a lot of fruit this time. My plum tree was producing fruit, and some of the plums fell on the ground, so I just scooped those up and put them in the freezer to be ready for the worms to eat. So I have a lot of these frozen plums. This will also be a nice little coolant, although it won't last that long. One thing I am worried about though, when I put these in, is I don't want it to be like too deep. I want to put a little bit of plums down, put some of the old castings and bedding down, and then put some more plums down over that. And the reason why I'm doing that is because, you know, if too many things are all breaking down on top of each other, it can get way too hot, and it can get you know, more difficult for the worms to like get at the stuff. So I'm sort of doing like using some of the older stuff to do like a 2-layer, nice little layer cake kind of thing for my worms, and then I'm gonna cover it all up. Well, I did add a lot of cardboard this time. I mean, there's a lot of moisture in all that fruit that I just added. So when I check on it in 2 weeks, it's probably going to be overly moist again, unfortunately. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to keep adding a lot of cardboard. But I'll, of course, post a video when I do check on them in 2 weeks, and we'll see how they're doing then.